In today's video, we're going to do an overview of the Trek Fuel EXe 9.5 and pit it against last week's lightweight e-bike, the Pivot Shuttle SL Ride. And we'll see if the Trek Fuel 9.5 has enough to beat the Shuttle SL Ride on the Send It Frankie scale. Trek's solution to the lightweight e-bikes is the mid-power 50 Nm torque motor from TQ. The TQ HPR 50 harmonic ping ring drive transmission is the smallest and the most quietest motor on the market, weighing in at 1,800 grams, powered by a 360 watt-hour battery. The Fuel EXe is made of a full carbon construction with a trail bike travel of 140 millimeters in the rear and 150 millimeters of travel up front. A full 29-inch wheel, front and rear, paired with Trek's MinoLink with adjustable geometry. A head-tube angle of 65 or 65.5 degrees depending on the flip chip, a 455 millimeters of reach or 461 millimeters of reach depending on the flip chip, and a 438 millimeters of chainstay or 440 millimeters depending on the flip chip. The Trek Fuel EXe has all the bells and whistles you want in an eMTB and beyond. And for today's build, we're going to rate the Fuel EXe 9.5, the lightweight base model from Trek. And before we begin our rating today, help this channel out by shopping with Wide Cyclery via my affiliate link in this video's description below. There is no extra cost to you. Wide Cyclery gives me a tiny commission on the sale. Free shipping over $45 within the US. Turnaround time is super fast. Right now, there's a killer deal on the sweet RockShox Lyric Fork RC2 damper for only $700, which you'll likely want to pick up as an upgrade along with the Trek Fuel EXe 9.5, and we'll talk about that later in this video. And for those that are new to the channel, here's a brief overview of how I score these eMTBs. My rating system is based on a 10-point average system, a very simple system. The bike will be scored based on 5 categories: cost, battery, torque, integration, and components value. Each category will be scored from 1 to 10, and at the end we take total average score out of 50 and we place it on the Send It Frankie scale. Last week we scored our first lightweight eMTB from Pivot, the Shuttle SL Ride, and we gave it a 7.7 out of 10. And today we'll see if the Trek Fuel EXe 9.5 will outscore the Shuttle SL Ride. So let's start with the MSRP. The Fuel EXe 9.5 starts at $6,499. This is $1,800 cheaper than Pivot's base model Shuttle SL Ride. But to be fair, the Shuttle SL does have better components. But the biggest question is, are those better components worth more than the $1,800? Stick around towards the end of this video to get more info on the components value of the Trek Fuel EXe 9.5. In my opinion, lightweight eMTBs are still on the expensive side. And at $6,499, you can find some pretty good builds on full fat eMTBs. So I give this a 7.5 out of 10 on the MSRP. Next, we look at the battery. The Trek Fuel EXe is equipped with a 360 watt-hour battery. And compared to the Pivot, the Ride 60 motor utilizes a 430 watt-hour battery. That's 70 watt-hour difference. And if I had to assume, 70 watt-hour is pretty substantial, especially when it comes to lightweight e-bikes. Both bikes are built with efficiency and weight savings in mind. A 70 watt-hour difference could add a large amount of range. So I give this a 7 out of 10. Next, we look at the torque. The TQ HPR harmonic ping ring system has 50 Nm of torque versus the Fazua Ride 60 motor, which has 60 Nm of torque. Fazua definitely wins in this department, but I do want to stress the harmonic ping ring system has zero drag, and being the most silent motor on the market does have its appeal. So for a mid-power 50 Nm of torque, I give it an 8 out of 10. Next, we have the integration. Both TQ and Fazua have intuitive minimal assist switch in the cockpit area. They both also have the control unit integrated into the top tube. But where TQ outshines Fazua is the integrated display. The display offers riders much more accurate information than just a few bars of battery capacity, a huge bonus for riders looking for the exact range, speed, or battery level. Plus, the motor is so small, it's tucked right behind a chainring, allowing the battery to be removable, which is not an available option on the Pivot. Very awesome job by Trek. I give this a big 10 out of 10. Next, we take a look at the category of components value. The way I rate this category is by assessing and assigning points into 4 specific component categories: the fork, shocks, drivetrain, and the brakes. If any of the components in these categories that do not hold their value, we assign a point. So the higher the amount of points, the lower the overall average. And starting with the fork, the Fuel EXe 9.5 comes with a RockShox Gold RL, an okay fork. I think there are plenty of options out there at the MSRP of $6,499. That is a point added. Looking at the shocks, the 9.5 comes standard with a RockShox Select Plus. Again, honestly, at the price of $6,499, we could have had a Deluxe Ultimate or a low-end Super Deluxe or a FloatX Performance. So another point added. Next, we have the drivetrain. The base model 9.5 comes with the derailleur set, which is decent, but would have wanted an SLX on the derailleur as the combo. So that's another point added. Next, we have the brakes. The 9.5 is spec'd with a 4-piston derailleur set. Again, at $6,499, I would have wanted at least a Shimano SLX set. Some might argue that there's not too much difference between a derailleur and an SLX, but we're paying a higher premium, so that's another point added. So with 4 points added in this category, we get an average of 6 out of 10 in the components value. So to recap on the total score, at MSRP of $6,499, we get a 7.5 out of 10. With a 360 watt-hour battery, it scored a 7 out of 10. With 50 Newton meters of torque, it scored an 8 out of 10. And it scored a perfect 10 out of 10 on integration. And it scored a 6 out of 10 in components value, giving us a total of 38.5 out of 50 points, which averages a 7.7 on the Send It Frankie scale. We have a tie. Both the Fuel EXe 9.5 and Pivot SL Ride scored a 7.7. Both bikes have their strengths and their weaknesses. Pivot has a bigger torque and battery. The Fuel EXe has a much in-tuned, integrated electronics and supremely quiet motor with no drag. The Shuttle SL Ride has better components than the Fuel EXe 9.5, but at the cost of $1,800. If I had to pick one out of these two, I would more likely go with the Fuel EXe 9.5. The most obvious is the price difference. At $1,800, I can find a better fork and shock than what is currently equipped on the SL Ride model. Plus, the integration on the computer on the top two is by far superior and way more sexier. My only issue with the Trek is the small battery at 360 watt-hour. But then again, the zero drag of the motor is such an awesome addition because we all know how much fun it is to pedal a motor with drag and no electricity. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Use my affiliate link to Wide Cyclery to get more goods and discounts on some components you may need. The time to upgrade components is now. There are some killer deals and discounts online out there. So please check out WorldWideCyclery.com via my affiliate link. Everything is in the description below. So with that, hope you all have a good week. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.